I'm using a probe and not a pen. Y'all see what pens do to my stuff? That's not good. Okay, let's talk about this structure right here at the front of the floor of the cranium.
The crystal galley.
That is the crystal galley. That's exactly right. Now that is on the ethmoid bone. Here's the ethmoid bone right here, and there's the crystal galley sticking up and being disarticulated. But this is the crystal galley. The reason this thing's important is the meninges actually attach to this and help anchor the brain to the floor of the cranial vault. Now, last week I gave y'all an assignment to learn some terms, and one of them was fossa, F-O-S-S-A. That's a shallow depression. In my mind, it's kind of like a mud puddle. There's a couple of fossas here. The front two are called the anterior cranial fossa. Anterior cranial fossa. What do you think these back two depressions are called?
Posterior.
Posterior cranial fossa. Okay. Now, this structure right here is on the sphenoid bone. Last week we talked about it. The pituitary gland goes in here. What's that called? Pituitary gland goes into it. This is what it looks like on the sphenoid bone, disarticulated, right here. This is the sella turcica. Remember talking about that last week, sella turcica? And y'all know the pituitary gland is an important gland in the region of our brain. Okay, don't miss this next one. Hole in the bone. What's this big hole in the bone? Foramen magnum. What goes through that? Spinal cord. Now, right next to the sella turcica, you've got a hole on either side. There's one of them. There's the other. Okay? Now, those two holes are called the carotid canals. What goes through that is the internal carotid artery. It's got a left one and a right one. They're taking blood to the brain. But the important thing is they've got to have a hole to go through to get into the skull, to get into the brain. Okay? So the carotid canals let the two internal carotid arteries go up to the brain. Y'all know if we starve the brain for very long for oxygen, it'll die, right? Okay? You only got about 4 minutes or so. Now what goes up has to come down, right? So if we're going to pump blood to the brain, we got to have a way to get it back out of the brain, back down to the heart. Y'all agree with that? See these two holes on either side of the foramen magnum? Those are the jugular foramen. That's right, the jugular foramen. The internal jugular veins go through those. So that's the way the blood gets back from the brain back down to the heart, and through those jugular veins that go through these two holes. Jugular foramen.